I'll start with this one. This lovely 75 pounds of pork is a good place to start for a couple of reasons. One is I want to talk about the contextual taskbar. It's this little bar that will float around quite often when you're editing, and this is what you where you enter your commands, and has a few other little features in it. I'll demonstrate them. The way in which you interact with, you have to use, in order to move it around, you have to grab the little white bar on the left side in order to move it. If you grab it anywhere else, it'll be a very frustrating experience for you. You can't, it'll be on top of your picture or whatever. So grab the white bar and move it around. Okay, so I'm gonna make this porker a little bigger. This, by the way, was in my backyard. So here's an example of, I want to get rid of the blue bucket on the side of this really pretty porker, and because it's a distraction and it doesn't add anything. So I'm going to go up to the tool list here and grab the lasso tool. That's what I typically use most often. And I will just draw carefully, not tight, but I'll draw a selection around it. And then you'll see the taskbar has the words generative fill, and I'd like to do that, and I'd like to fill it with the background. And so I won't put a command in here at all. I'll just click on the generative fill word and hit generate. Notice all the skill I'm using at doing this. Learned over several minutes of practice here. Eye-watering, actually. And I want you to point out that there's a 1/3 here, which means you're looking at the, I'll move the taskbar out of the way. You're looking at version 1. If I click on the arrow, I can look at version 2 and version 3. And I don't know what that is in version 3, but we're going to pick version 1. And you notice how there's a little bit of artifact there. And what you can do there is just draw around it. Try it again. Generative fill. Don't put anything in there. You want the background there, and you hit generate. Yes.
Do you need to make the lasso larger than the object you're
trying
to remove? So
you don't. Yeah, don't waste time trying to trace every,
But it's not required that it be.
No, it doesn't have to be exact. Okay. I think it works better when it sees part of the background.
Of the,
yeah. So notice I was able to get rid of that whatever that anomaly was there, and frankly, I would have had to go to a 6-month Photoshop class to do that, to figure out how to do that. So you saw, did anybody see me use a drop-down menu with Photoshop? No. So that's what I like about this this program. I'm gonna close out the porker here, and we'll find another picture that this is an old silver mine in California, and the elevation is 8,500 feet, and it's a kind of a cool old building. And I want to make a point here with the generative AI, and that is Don't bite off too much in order to get your result. And so if I just I want to get rid of the branches that intrude into the picture. And this would be virtually impossible using normal techniques. I'm going to draw a circle around all of it, or a selection around all of it with the lasso tool. And I'm going to do a generative fill. I want the building to be there and the window to be there when I get done. So I'll hit generate.
Do you tap dance, Ben?
I'm sorry?
Do you tap dance?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. No, you wouldn't want to see that. Okay, it took the window away. All right. That's version 1. Version 2, some strange branch or something, and then there's something on the building. So I'm not happy with that, so I'm going to go Control Z and back up here, and I'm going to do Control D, which is delete that selection, and then we'll try just doing the top branch first. And generative fill, no command. And I'm telling it I want to get rid of the upper branch here.
If all else fails, you could have taken the right way.
Yeah, so it partially worked. On previous efforts, I can tell you it worked better than this, but let me try looking at the other variations. Not great, so I would end up probably selecting this and do another generate. And hopefully it'll leave the window there, but we'll see. Again, this is happening in the cloud. You can't do this unless you're connected to the internet. Okay, not bad. And let me move the taskbar, and I'll do this one. One thing about demonstrating this, it's not entirely predictable, so it can be embarrassing. Yeah.
Well, shows what we would be faced with.
So I'd have to do, let me look at the different variations. So the point is you can just sort of incrementally get rid of larger objects, and that may actually work better. And that trick would be virtually impossible to do unless you really had some high level skills in Photoshop. So I've ended up doing this with a window that looked a little different than the other one, but not bad. But in the interest of time, I'm going to go to another one. These are really nice looking wood ducks. And my typical bird photography is it's misframed because I got it too close to the bottom of the picture. I'm in a hurry and hand holding. So I'm going to go up here to the crop tool and grab that one. And I'm going to extend the crop. And I'm just going to do you see what it came up with, generative expand? Click on that and hit generate. Now this may make a liar out of me, but this picture usually turns out really well. Bingo.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it actually gives you a shadow if not always, but most of the time does that. And frankly, you can't really tell the difference. In my opinion, most of the time, it's good enough to probably get through a judging or whatever. So that's the generative expand. Now I can go in to the crop tool again and crop it down from here or whatever I want to do. And now I've got it properly framed for me. Anyway, it looks a lot better that way. So that's the generative expand command. Let me get my list of other topics so that I can make sure I cover everything. Time-wise, we're looking pretty good, I think. So then there's, I mentioned remove. So if I'm going to close this one out, and I'm going to go to a picture which has got let me go to Lightroom here. And so this is a really good example. And if you're a bird photographer, let's go edit in. I'm in Lightroom. I'm going to go into edit in Photoshop Beta, edit a copy, or you can edit the original, however you think. And I'm going to frame that properly. So this is typically a big problem for bird photographers. You got something in front of the bird, and you'd like to fix that. Well, if I in Lightroom, I'm not going to. Actually, I should demonstrate it in Lightroom and then go show you how this works. So if I go to Lightroom and I pick the this is basically the traditional remove tool, or where it clones things out. And I'm just going to try to get rid of that read. And, it's almost predictable. That doesn't work well. And I'll try the remove tool, which is actually much better. So over here, now this is a generative AI tool. And I'll try the same thing again using generative AI within Lightroom. And so all I did was paint it and hit apply. Now this will work the same in Adobe Camera Raw. You can do this in Adobe Camera Raw. So it's not perfect. There's some stuff still left in there, but notice it did do a pretty decent job on the bird's head. And if I wanted to get rid of that rest of that piece of grass, I can just do that again and do another refine. So it doesn't do everything really well, not perfectly, but I'll do this one. So this is generative AI. It will not work unless you're connected. So whereas Lightroom will work on a standalone basis. So that one's not bad. Yes?
You said it wouldn't work on JPEG images.
No, actually what I meant was the denoise function doesn't work in JPEG. Yep. So that actually did a better job than the traditional method. So if I go into Photoshop, same image, and grab the lasso tool and lasso this guy, And notice I'm pretty sloppy with my selection, and hit generative fill. At least one of the three variations are probably going to be okay. No guarantees. And the critical thing is you don't, so the eye got messed up a bit, but if I go to the other variations, not bad at all. And there's the variation 3, which bloodshot eye, that doesn't look good. So if you're a bird photographer, this can solve some problems and make your really sad, unfortunate bird that's parked behind reeds and grass actually make out pretty well that way. So that's the one of the demonstrations I wanted to do here that shows you that the Photoshop AI has some powerful algorithms in it that do this sort of work. And notice again, hardly any skill at all. I mean, all I had to do is turn the computer on and start up the program. So that's well, let's go to my cousin. Sorry, Mr. Cousin, but we're going. Yeah, that's actually his real hair. So I'm going to do a select subject in the taskbar, and I'm going to go over to this little button and invert the selection. So now I've selected the background, and then I'm going to do a generative fill, and I'm going to put in a command. Let's see, lake with mountains. And notice all the skill that I had to use. I had to be able to spell. Well, maybe you don't even have to spell. I don't know. Bingo. And if, yes.
If I can make one comment.
Yes.
When you do a generative fill, it is not acceptable for our competition. The idea, not, sorry, when you put in a prompt, like
Right.
mountain,
Yeah.
it's not acceptable to enter into our competition.
Because that part of the picture, yeah, that part of the picture behind him is Adobe. That's who's doing it, and they. Oh, now. Okay, there's a way. I'll demonstrate how you can do it and pass his test. And that is, this allows you to use a reference image to put behind someone, in this case, which is your own image. So I'll show you how to do that. So let me do that. I'm gonna.
We did not talk about this ahead of time.
Right. No. So let's say I want him to have blonde hair. Okay, so I'm going to select his hair. Don't have to be too careful, but make sure that you just select his hair. Okay, you notice I'm not real steady with my mouse, but so I'm going to put in command here, blonde hair. See, I can't even spell. I'm going to put in blonde hair, generate. If the library had faster internet, we'd be doing this faster, but Okay, so,
The eyebrows too.
yeah, I'd have to go in and
Does it do eyebrows?
oh, I'm sure it will, yeah, if I want to select each one individually.
Yeah.
So then I can try his different hairstyles. Okay, so then, I'm going to select the entire head, and I'm going to put in the same command, blonde hair, and this will illustrate a point here that I've been trying to make, and that is, be careful with your selection. So if you don't like her, you can try her or her. Apparently blonde means female blonde to somebody at Adobe or whatever. So anyway, that's why you have to be careful about about making these selections accurately. So let's go back. I'm going to close this out and reopen it, and I'm going to put in a background with reference image. So I'm going to again select the subject. So now I have the background, and I'm going to click on generative fill, and you see that little button there. I'm going to put in a reference image. So I'm going to choose an image. I have to find an image that works that's sort of vertical. Let me see if I've put one in here. This one's good. It's a pier out of Venice, California. And I'm going to hit open. And then I'm going to generate. So the image that I took of him is mine. And the reference image is mine. The combination of the two will make Dave happy.
Yes.
So you use a reference image. So you maybe you have. I made sure that I had a vertically oriented reference image, but you can put a horizontal one in there and mess around with it. And there'll be 3 versions of this, by the way. Whichever one you decide to use. So if I want to do, let me go back, and so there's another gizmo on this line, and that's this little paint bucket, and I want to fill the background with a solid color. Well, I guess that's good enough, green. Hit OK, and OK. So endless possibilities is what I can say. Yes.
Once you get here,
Yes.
is there an ability to adjust depth of field, make the background out of focus, at least have sharp?
In Lightroom, I could do that. Yeah, right. I would do that. Yep. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because I will demonstrate that if I don't run out of time here. Okay. So that's the changing the background thing. Let's see what else we want to cover. So here's another really interesting demonstration. This is Watson Lake, by the way, and it's amazingly smart sometimes. So I'm in the lasso tool again. So I'm gonna put something up here in the clouds. I'm gonna generative fill, and I'm gonna put in storm cloud and generate. Okay, great. But what's wrong with this picture? There's no reflection. The reflection isn't there. So I'm going to back up here, Control Z, and again, and now this is what kind of amazing to me. Now I go storm cloud. Now I will say this doesn't always work, but most of the time it does. Bingo. It's actually a pretty decent reflection. It's pretty close. I can try the other variations. I mean, that's impressive. I think quite impressive. Yeah. So then I'm going to draw another selection out here. Sloppy as hell, but, and I'm going to put in alligator. I don't want you to worry. This is actually only in the cloud, but
And we can't do that.
and there's three different alligators that you can select from, whichever is your preference. And they actually pretty good depiction. And now I'm going to back up a little bit. I want to demonstrate. I'm going to demonstrate that size matters. Sorry. And we're going to put in another alligator. And hit generate. So this is how important the selection is. You get a bigger one. Now, I didn't tell it to be going from right to left or anything like that, but so that's and now I have another image. We're going to close that one out, and I have another image that is kind of fun to do, and that is I'm going to let's make this image a little bigger, fit on the screen, and I'm going to move this taskbar up here so it's out of the way, and I'm going to put in a selection right here, and I'm going to say great blue heron. I had it spelled right, and generate. So this software is pretty smart the way it works. It analyzes the picture. So the heron is standing, right? Because I told it to put it in the grass. Again, I'm not being real careful with the selection, but I'm going to put in another and generate that. and go.
Oh, wow, nice, you slide now.
Again, massive amount of skill not required here. So, and if,
Figure out whether it's you flying or staying over there.
so those are that one's probably the best. But, so it got the bird correct, I think, and basically, if you place it in the sky, it's going to be a flying bird. That's pretty smart stuff going on here. And then, and I'm gonna, not just water, this is careful now, pond. So there's three variations of the pond. I'll move this out of the way here again. And you just pick the one that fits best, I think. Probably that one. If I just put water, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute on a different picture, it'll put a flooded area in. So again, it's smarter than I am, actually.
You have some fun, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something I wanted to show you. And so here's Venice, California, Control 0. And I'm going to move the taskbar out of the way. And I'm going to draw a selection around most of the pavement. And what happened to my taskbar? There it is. By the way, if you ever lose the taskbar, you can go up to Window, and down at the very bottom it says Contextual Taskbar. You can turn it on or off on the Window command. I'm sorry I used the drop-down menu, but that's where you find it. So let me find, oh, there it is. Okay, then I'm going to put in pond. Notice there's a reflection there that's actually not bad. Now, version 1 looks a little strange. Version 2, but when you put in pond, there's going to be some sort of a fixed edge around the pond. And yeah, so then I'll go back.
Now it looks like Venice, Italy.
And this time I'm going to put in water, and then we'll show you how smart this program is. So that looks a little strange, but that looks better. And maybe the third variation, not bad. So if I want to generate 3 more options, I just hit the generate button again, and it'll give me 3 more options. So that's what, and the other thing is, you notice how carefully I framed it and cut the top of the building off. It is absolutely a no-brainer to use the crop tool, extend the top, and generate, and just a simple little thing like that will turn out perfect almost every time. So that's really nice. Yes. Okay. So I think those are the main demonstrations that I wanted to do. I think I'm going to do a neural filter. demonstration here. And I gotta find my, oh, I'm not in here, in Lightroom. Okay, so this will be a good demonstration of a neural filter. And this is 1917. That's my father, the short guy with the serious look, and my grandmother, of course, in Upper New York State. And I'm going to edit in Photoshop Beta. You can actually do this in regular Photoshop too, but it's using AI power. And I'm going to go to put it in the whole screen here. And now I'm going to go up to the filter menu, and I'm going to go to neural filters. Skip tour. Now the problem, my mistake here, each one of these little things means you got to download the app, so maybe I'll do one here. Photo restoration, let's do that. You click on it, and it's downloading the app. Sorry, I should have done this before. And any one of these you can use. It's worth experimenting with. It's going to take a couple minutes.
Have you tried the colorize?
Yes, and the colorize works very well on this. And this is an ancient picture. I mean, this is old film emulsion from 1917. So my
How accurate it was at picking up
The colorize.
the right. I'm just curious
Yeah.
how it works.
I probably should have picked that one.
It's almost done.
Bill, this is all in regular Photoshop. You don't have to have the,
Yeah, you don't have to have the beta version to do this. So it's now processing the image because I selected that tool.
And you can also see it has a scratch slider there too.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to tell, but it's actually in it's a much sharper image than it was before, and it took out some of the artifacts. So this is a new tool that actually I haven't seen before, version of it. We might, let's see how long the colorized tool. This is a smaller tool, so this will load a lot quicker.
Yeah, I have questions about colorizing, unless you know that it was a blue dress and now it's a blue dress. It's making it up.
You just, yeah, that's right. It looks at the picture and decides what might be the best fit. And it's actually not bad for skin tones, in my opinion.
I mean, it looks good and they'll even tell you you're wrong probably.
Right. So now it's going to process the picture, and it's going to. And it's not bad actually. I'm if you wanted a picture, an old picture to hang on the wall, this is good enough, I think. And the nice thing,
Yeah.
the nice thing is I have adjustments.
You can adjust that, right?
Yeah, I have adjustments here that I can adjust the saturation. Typically, I would reduce the saturation on these old pictures to make them look more realistic. And then you have your individual color channels.
That's good right there,
Yeah, and
the grass
and you can crank up the noise reduction, which in Photoshop and Lightroom, noise reduction actually reduces film grain. So, and that's a 100% better picture, in my opinion, than what I started with. So, yeah. And so all you need to do is open up Photoshop, go to neural filters, and download the filters that you want to play with, and it's fun. It's amazing.
And depth blur is in there too. Somebody was asking about blur.
Yeah, it's right there,
Oh,
Yeah.
under photography,
yeah.
super zoom and depth.
So, there's the tools in Lightroom and Adobe Camera Raw, but if we go to G, okay, this is a picture I took with a Leica M3, and it's bright daylight and it's tri-X, which means I'm at 1,000th of a second, and the lens is stopped down to f8 or f11, and I have all kinds of stuff in the background. I like it to be blurred. So I'm going to go to the Develop tool, and I'm going to go to the Lens Blur tool, and unfortunately I'm getting prompts that
It's monochrome.
yeah. And the Blur tool works with monochrome, by the way. So look at it, it's analyzing, it's figuring out what the subject is. Everybody probably knows where this car is parked. It's on South Montezuma. And you see how the background is blurred now, but the subject is sharp, and I can maybe make it a little more realistic, and I can pick the style of the bokeh that I want to use. Now this is AI. In other words, you can't escape AI. It's too late. You're there. So this eliminates, in many cases, the need for an ND filter for a camera that doesn't have an electronic shutter. If you have an electronic shutter that'll go up to 8,000th or 12,000th of a second, then you can shoot wide open and have all kinds of blur and everything else from the lens. But this does it, I think, in a pretty good, impressive way. Any questions there?
No, I use it.
Yep.
I
Very
like
good
it.
example.
That's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have time for one quick demo. No?
Push it in.
Denoise. I'll just do one denoise here.
It works. The ones where it's very light sky.
Yeah, he's on a roll. I'll leave him.
Yeah.
Well, this is, I mean, it is a little addictive when you find out how much you can do that you couldn't do before.
That's right. Oh, here we are. So denoise, the AI version of it does not work except on color raw. That's what I mentioned before. So here's, this is taken at ISO 5000, so there's a bit of noise there. And I'm going to go to the detail panel and select denoise. And if you're in an image that it won't work, there'll be a notice on here that says this won't work. So I'm going to, this is really quick, so it won't take long. And so it's going to show me a section of the picture, and this is totally impressive in my humble opinion. Let me go up to the clock. And that's what it looks like before denoise. This is ISO 5000 now, and it's processing. And if I click on it, it'll go back to its original state, so you can compare. And that is amazing. So,
It estimates 8 minutes on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to do the whole image,
Yeah,
so I would say don't worry about noise in your photography, because the software, either Topaz Denoise does a nice job. This actually I think is better
yeah.
than Topaz.
It's so much better than it was.
Yeah. So
It's my favorite.
that's it. So we have to go on to images
Images.
and commentary.